Hey, welcome to Ambitious Black Girl, the podcast. On this podcast, I dive deep and choose to be vulnerable about experiences I've had while I journey through life. As an ambitious Black woman, I feel it's my purpose to use my voice to celebrate, liberate, and educate myself and others. From time to time, I'll invite friends and family to join me on topics ranging from race, mental health, self-care, and so much more. So for now, take a deep breath in, exhale, and join me in thoughtful conversation. This is Ambitious Black Girl, the podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ambitious Black Girl, the podcast. This is your host, Tatiana Donaldson, and I'm so excited about today's conversation. I'm with my girlfriend, Kia Kyles, and I just wanted to thank you all for taking a moment to be with our sisterhood. The purpose of this episode is to have honest, organic conversation while evoking thought to our listeners. So without further ado, here is Kia Kyles. Hey girl, how are you?
Hi, Tatiana. I'm doing great. I really appreciate you having me here on this podcast today to film this episode. And I want to thank whoever's listening as well for even hearing what I have to say. So I'm feeling extremely excited and pumped to have this conversation today with you.
That is so beautiful. I'm really, really happy to hear that. And Kia, thank you so much for just taking the time to be with our sisterhood and to be with me. I know that you're all the way in Sacramento, California now, so the time difference is real, girl. I appreciate you. I really do.
It's the time difference is very real.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you start by sharing with our sisterhood, a little bit about who you are and your background?
Hello, everyone that's listening. So my name is Lakia. I am from Sacramento, California. I was born there, but I lived in the South majority of my life, Mobile, Alabama. I don't have much of an exciting, crazy background to really talk about, but I feel like most of my life, I pretty much played it safe. I worked in retail majority of the time, and one day I looked up and I wanted to do more with my life. I wanted to experience things, and that's how I ended up in Cambodia.
Yeah, Cambodia, Kia,
completely different from living in Alabama.
For sure.
So I'm pretty sure the average person who I tell or ask, about that wants to know how did that even start? Like, why did I even choose to go there?
Yeah, so can you share with our sisterhood the story behind why you chose to embark on the journey of becoming an ESL teacher and moving abroad?
So when I was living in Texas, I was going to a college. It's a small college in Brenham, Texas, called Blinn College. And I didn't have a declared major yet. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had an idea of a few things, but at the same time, I also knew I wanted to live life and travel. Now I have, but at the time, I never flew on a plane. I never traveled outside of the States. I've been to a few states, but that's about it. And at the same time, I wanted to experience life. So I feel like the whole ESL journey, even Cambodia, it all kind of found me in a way. One day, I was in one of my history classes, and a woman came to our class saying that we could volunteer at an elementary school nearby and get some extra credits. I ended up doing that at Alton Elementary School, and I loved it. I loved working with kids. And from at that point, I realized, okay, I want to work with kids, but still in the back of my mind, I still want to travel. So I went home one day and I literally was just researching, okay, teaching or tutoring, working with kids and traveling, what careers is in that field, and ESL popped up. And from there, that's how it unraveled for me to plan my trip to Cambodia and start teaching.
That is phenomenal. Like, you didn't sacrifice the things that you wanted to do. Like you said, you found out that you enjoyed teaching and being with the kids, being with the youth, but you knew that you wanted to travel. So you were able to find like a happy medium,
Yeah,
you
yeah, that
know?
was really important for me. That was really important for me.
So for someone who had never been on an airplane, Kia, like, walk us through that process. Like, how, especially just, yeah, like especially coming to an understanding that, okay, I'm gonna move abroad. Like, how was that experience
Yes.
for you? What was your process? Like,
It
what were
was
you thinking?
so exciting. I actually think, looking back, now that I'm actually back home in the States, that process of me leaving was the most exciting. Like, being in Cambodia, period, was exciting and amazing. But the process of me leaving, because I was stepping into the unknown, I didn't know what to expect once I set foot in Cambodia. But although I ran into a couple of problems along the way, it was amazing. So I remember I left on Christmas Day. I was a little sad about it because I left on Christmas and I really didn't get the chance to spend time with my family like I would like to. I literally opened up presents, spent time with them that morning, and I had to leave by 4 p.m. the afternoon.
Wow.
um, yes. So I was pretty nervous once I arrived at the airport. I was in San Francisco, and my flight details was, well, I flew from San Francisco, and I would be in the Philippines. I had a layover in the Philippines, and from there, I expected to go to Cambodia. Well, once I got on the plane, I had lots of sleeping pills.
Okay.
Not a lot, everyone, not like a lot, but I took a couple of sleeping pills because I mean, I was kind of nervous. I seen the lady on the side of me praying, and then the guy on the right of me, he looked so nervous. So I didn't know what to expect. But overall, the flight was fine. Going to the Philippines, that was perfectly fine. It was like a 13-hour flight. I was asleep for most of it. I arrived at the Philippines, and that's when things were, a little different. Obviously, um, I actually was held in the Philippines for a little bit. I wasn't able to go straight to. I wasn't able to get on my flight to Cambodia that I was supposed to get on later on that night. It was a lot of reasons. Just travel things that I know about now. The whole visa thing. They looked at my passport and noticed that I've never traveled outside of the States. They wanted to know what I was doing in Cambodia. I was so nervous. I was scared. I was crying. I begged them to let me on the plane. I needed a return ticket. So that whole thing was crazy. But long story short, I was able to make it to Cambodia. And from there, everything was pretty good up until the whole COVID thing came about. So, yeah.
Right. And you actually moved to Cambodia pre COVID. So when you were saying that you left on Christmas Day, this was Christmas 2019, correct?
Yes, 2019. And I was there for New Year's, which was, I'm so glad that I was able to kind of get there before things really, crept in. Things got worse because I was able to see what it was like to be just around a crowd of people. Like New Year's Eve, it was so busy, so packed in the streets. It was so crazy that we were stuck in traffic for hours to the point we just walked home. We walked to our guest house because of how bad the traffic was. But at that moment, I remember I didn't even want to go out that day. My group had to pull me out to get out, and I actually wish I would have enjoyed that moment and being out because we won't get a chance. I'm not sure when, but any festivals, major holidays, like big gatherings like that, now we're not going to be able to see that in a minute, probably.
Isn't that so crazy? Like the little things, the things that we take for granted or that we just don't
Yeah.
really
And I felt
realize.
so bad because I was actually kind of complaining all that night. I felt so bad. But now it's like if I would have known, I would have really like took the extra effort to just, enjoy just being there, you know?
I feel you on that. But I mean, how beautiful to have entered into 2020 in a completely different country and doing something that you had never done before. Like that is so beautiful, Kia.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a new beginning. That's why, although I left on Christmas Day, I was okay with it because I felt like I was going into 2020, January, the beginning of the month, fresh, kind of. I'm in a whole new place, a whole new experience. So, yeah, it was definitely really, really nice.
And how did your family take you deliberately choosing to embark on this journey? Like, were they supportive? How did they feel?
Oh,
What were their
yeah.
views?
So, my family and people who are really close to me kind of know my personality. I'm not random, but although I haven't traveled, outside of the States, anything else, like if someone's down for a road trip, I'm spontaneous. I do what I feel like doing, so they were supportive. They're like, yeah, live your life. My mom actually, she was all on with it because I remember years ago she told me, what are you doing with your life? And at first I took offense to it, and she said, no, I mean, like, live your life. Like, yeah, you're working, but live. Are you living or are you just surviving? And so that kind of my decision. Before I told them, I prayed about it and I meditated on it, and I'm like, yeah, that's to me, that's living, going to another country. A lot of people are afraid to do something like that, and I feel like facing your fears and just going past that, like, that's truly living, and it felt good. So they were all in support of it. They were really supportive. I didn't really receive a lot of backlash or negative comments or advice from anyone besides like a couple of friends would say, oh, well, be careful because there's sex trafficking, or they would just say kind of what's the word, derogatory things.
Yeah.
you know But yeah, like stuff like that. But I didn't let it discourage me, and I'm like, I did a lot of research before I left. It's not like I just up and left. I planned this for over a year, and within that time period, I was just watching YouTubers like every other day. I was watching videos of people not just in Cambodia but Vietnam, all of Asia. Um, Before then, I didn't know if I was even going to end up in Asia, and I was looking at Europe, everywhere, all over the world, and I even got in contact with someone who lived in Vietnam, because that's where I thought I was going to end up, and she was telling me how it was there, and she was another Black woman, so I felt like I could relate to that, and I trusted it, and yeah, I'm glad that I went along with that and didn't listen to like any naysayers or anything like that.
Well, I am super proud of you, Kia. You are resilient, you persevere, and you are the definition of an ambitious Black girl. So kudos to you, girl.
Thank you so much, Tatiana.
So, Kia, you have such a unique journey filled with courage and ambition. What was your experience like while living in Southeast Asia? And do you have any suggestions for others in their attempts to do the same?
Yes. Overall, my experience, it had its ups and downs. It consisted of so many things. So I can't necessarily just define my experience as in like just one or two things or just one sentence. So when I first got here, my first month in Cambodia, I believe I kind of got somewhat of a culture shock. That's when I started doing my teaching practices and stuff like that. Also, just the little things made me it made me appreciate things. Being in just being in Asia, it really reoriented the way that I look at things in the world, especially like in the U.S. Because living in the U.S. and never traveling anywhere, that's all I've ever known. And being out there, it just really changes the way you see things. It made me appreciate a lot. Like Cambodia, being in another country, it's a beautiful thing. I love the journey, but I was so appreciative of being there.
In regards to your experience while living in Southeast Asia, do you have any suggestions for others and their attempts to do the same if they choose to? Just because, yes, there are resources out there, and we used YouTube, and social media to find like-minded women and Black people who are traveling abroad. But for someone who's firsthand did it, I'm doing it. I know that there's a lot of women of color, men of color, just people of color, Black people who want to see more representation and want to know if we're really out here traveling and being abroad. Do you have any suggestions for those people who are looking to do the same?
Number one for me, this is personal. I'm a Black woman, so I just feel like that's pretty much essential for me. I don't have the luxury of just randomly going somewhere without knowing what is it like for being a Black person, being in that country. Another thing is be aware of your surroundings as well. So I'm usually pretty vigilant anywhere I go, but I remember when I was out there, a lot of the people within my group had people being stolen, or they were subjected to scams. And, that can happen anywhere, but Cambodia to me is relatively safe. I would say I feel safe walking down the street, when I was there, but it's known for certain parts for people to get their things stolen. So it's like, don't walk down the street with your phone just, out, in the street where someone can just take it. Just kind of be aware of what you're doing. If you have a purse, like things like that, I wouldn't really carry around too much. Just have just double think everything to the point. I was really good with that, double checking things. When I would get in my little tuk-tuk, it's like a little, Tatiana, how would you describe a tuk-tuk?
A tuk-tuk is the cutest.
Yes, because I get people ask me, what is a tuk-tuk? I would be on the phone with my mom, and she, well, what is a tuk-tuk?
Yeah.
And I just tell her, I don't know.
A tuk-tuk is literally our form of transportation. It's like the cutest little mini car. How many wheels is on a tuk-tuk? Oh, there's 4 wheels. Yeah.
4 wheels. 4.
Yeah, it's like this cute little, I want to say like this cute little device. It's like this cute little device that you can drive and that carries 2 people.
Wait, one time I seen one with 3 wheels. It was 1 wheel in the front and 2 in the back.
Fire, Yeah.
So they're just, they're cute.
I've had tuk-tuks that literally have sound systems that light up multiple colors. Yeah. Like, they're so cute.
So nice. But on one occasion, I just carried cash mainly. I never used a card or anything, so I paid with cash with taking a tuk-tuk. And before I even paid the tuk-tuk, the tuk-tuk driver even arrived, I have the money already counted out, and I would put it somewhere safe. So if something happened, it's not me fumbling around to look for the money, for one. 2, whenever we get to my destination, and it's a thing where sometimes the tuk-tuk driver will say it's one price or something, or they'll say they don't have exact change, or they don't have the change to give you, and there's no disagreement. There's no, I have exact change, this is what it is, because that happens a lot.
Right.
Also, I learned to add on to that, cash is king in Cambodia. You can bring your cards and stuff like that as well. I did make sure you have a reliable bank account. Of course, everyone should have a bank account, but where I'm going with this is if something happens, like in my case where family had to send me money, it can just be deposited into my account, like emergency purposes. And piggybacking off of that as well, please try to be prepared as much as you can. Backup plans. I didn't expect this COVID thing to happen. I came out there to teach. I thought, everything will be fine. I'm going to get my check rolling in. I'm going to be good. So Me, like other people, I thought I was the only one. I was actually a little embarrassed. I didn't save up as much as I should have before I came out. So, in turn, when the schools stopped cutting, when the schools start cutting money and our salary, I wasn't getting paid as much. And so having that extra financial support, that cushion, would have helped. But obviously, like long term, if money isn't flowing in, then that's not going to work out. So just try to prepare for worst case scenarios. Always think ahead, not just with the money, but like with a lot of things. Like that tuk-tuk example, that was like me trying to think ahead of what could happen. Also enjoy the moments, be present when you come out here. That's something that I wish I would have done many times, like the New Year's Eve example. I wish I just really enjoyed being there. And one last thing, don't be scared to make friends and be social. Because if I would have done that, I wouldn't have met you, Tatiana. So yeah.
Oh,
I met great
Kia.
people in Cambodia, and I was not expecting that. I remember, like, when I met you, I told you about this. Like, I started crying. Like, I didn't expect to meet you and like other people, especially Black women. I was not expecting that. I just I was okay with being alone, really. I didn't expect to really be close to anyone in my group that I came in with. So, yeah, just enjoy being there.
Well, that is some sound advice. I love that, Kia. And honestly, girl, I am so grateful. I am so thankful that we found each other while being here in Cambodia. Like, I needed sisterhood, and I also just yearned for Black sisterhood. I still
Yeah,
do, while being here.
I realized how important it is to have that sisterhood, the Black sisterhood. It hits different.
Girl,
Yeah,
it hits different, for real. For real. So you get me, you feel me. And I mean,
yeah,
look at how beautiful our relationship is now. Like, you're all the way back home and I'm still here in Cambodia. Yeah, and
yes,
still we've found ways to stay in communication, to stay in touch with each other, to support each other.
yes.
And that's really what it's about. And I appreciate you for that. I really do.
I would like to add on to that a little bit with the whole Black sisterhood theme. I realized, like, when I met Shar, she's from the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not just her. Like, I've met other Black women from other places. I remember I went out and I hung out with a group of women. They were from someone was from South Africa, someone was from Ghana, like just different parts, and how we could all come together. And it's just like we get it, we just click. It's that essence that's just there, and it's so beautiful, and it was so refreshing to meet you and everyone. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Well, I love you, girl, and I appreciate
Love
you.
you, Crystal.
And I will never forget the night that you and Shar took me onto the tuk tuk and we went to Aeon Mall and we just sat there and shared
Oh
our
yeah, we drank our
experiences.
beers.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
drank our beers, we cried, and I felt so at home. I felt so safe, Kia. So thank you for just being
Yeah.
that light in my life.
Thank you. And same, Tatiana. It's like a ray of sunshine. Like I said, it's just a breath of fresh air. It's so nice to be around that, especially when you're. I think it's important when you're overseas and you feel like you're kind of you're alone, and it's nice to have that comfort there whenever you need it.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I mean, we're being in Cambodia, Kia, like so far from home, so far. And like you
Yeah.
said, just having like that safe comfortability, like within a tribe, a sisterhood, it's needed. It really is. And we're definitely out here, but we're not the majority and nowhere near out here. So
Oh yeah.
when
Yeah.
we do find each other, it's like, yes, thank you, Lord Jesus.
I actually feel like, or I'm going to ask, do you feel like that as well? I think I brought this up a couple times that sometimes I feel like I got more looks because I know I'm black, obviously, but also I'm a woman, and I had someone explain that to me as well. That was the opinion of someone. A couple of people told me that, because I've always wondered, it's, if you go down Riverside, and sometimes when you're just walking down a certain street, and I get stares, and I would wonder why. But I've seen a black man. There are black men that live in Cambodia as well, more than black women, obviously, but they don't get stared at. So I thought, is it because I'm a woman? You know, I
I,
don't know.
and I definitely think that has a lot to do with it too. Like we were both saying earlier, Cambodia is more of a country that's it's run by gender roles, like male and female.
Yeah.
So I think that's a thing. But also, like at the end of the day, yes, we're black, but we're still women, and people are gonna stare more at us.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
maybe see where, yeah, it's like, oh, don't see a lot of black women around.
That's for
Yeah.
sure. So, this actually brings me to our next question, or the question that I've been wanting to ask you, Kia. Pertaining to being black and woman, and thus subject to discrimination on the basis of both race, gender, and often the two, how is your experience living in Cambodia?
Okay, so just piggybacking on what I kind of said earlier, black women, black women, I feel like it's necessary for us to research where we're going before we go there, especially traveling abroad. Somewhere new that we've never been. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it, that it has to come down to that. But we have to watch out for ourselves and be careful and safe. So yeah, I watched plenty of videos of other black expats, especially women. I was so specific. I was very intentional of what I was looking up. I really want to see black women in Asia as well, to know it just makes the reality just that more I don't know, believable or relatable. Maybe, I'm not sure if that's what it is, but I just felt like it was safer once I seen someone else in Asia, and I'm like, oh, she looks like me. But my experience in Cambodia. So I will start with, I know when I first got here, obviously I noticed people staring, and I was actually okay with that. It was actually, I know a lot of times people say it can be annoying. I was actually thinking it was going to be some crazy stuff. Like, I've seen videos of black people like in China or somewhere like that, where someone will come up to them and touch their hair and point, and just rude stuff like that. But I never encountered anything like that. Mainly just stares. At worst, a staring contest.
I am
But
done.
yes, okay. So I had literally a staring contest with someone. So like normal, someone will stare at you. I'm on the tuk-tuk, another guy's on the tuk-tuk, and he looks. Usually, if you look up, someone will smile, and then look away. I just think that is so cute, like when the locals smile, and but it's like, oh, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it warms my heart sometimes, especially children. But this man stared at me, and he wouldn't look away. We were like literally having a staring contest, but I wasn't looking angry or anything. I just thought it was so funny because he would not look away, Tatiana. But that was like at worst.
Girl, I've
But
had that happen so many times. Like
yeah.
it's a given on a daily.
Yeah, and apparently all of Asia isn't the same. I know Cambodia, that's Southeast Asia, but I've had quite a few people tell me when I was having conversations with them that, I'm not trying to name names, name drop countries, but China is probably not. And I know China's huge, so I'm not trying to generalize the whole part of China, but maybe certain parts or whatever, that it's not the same treatment. Like, I remember I was talking to Shar, and she was saying when she was out there that what she faced living in China. She said, "Oh yeah, Cambodia is so much nicer, compared to out there. Them staring out here is more bearable than someone pointing at you or laughing or something like that. That is, I don't think I would be able to take on a daily basis. I wouldn't want to go anywhere really, because if I did and someone is constantly doing that, that would cause me to say something.
I
So
feel you. I feel
yeah,
you.
and so racially, I think it was okay. Although I feel like there were a couple situations where things happened because I was black. It wasn't a thing where I was just ultimately like upset, or I didn't really let it get to me. But it was like, okay, I peep game. I see what's happening. Like one time I was walking to the Shar. We're two black women. We're walking, and we were looking for something to eat. And most of the restaurants, are closed because they close at a certain time. But you have your street vendors outside cooking. And we walked up to the street vendor. There's a lot of people at this restaurant outside. Everything looked good. And we're standing there and no one comes up to us. And we figure that it's because they're really busy. So, it's fine. We're patient. Like, I'm not going to rush anyone. Who am I to rush anyone? But they look at us and they keep moving. And we stood there for almost 10 minutes right there. No one even spoke to us or anything. And I thought, is it a language barrier thing? We were, after a while, we walked off. And she was like, forget that. We felt like it was more so because we were black, because I'm not trying to stir anything, but I feel like if I was like a blonde hair, blue eyed white girl, that we would have gotten better treatment. That's just how I feel. And when I first started teaching, that's when I started to see, okay, maybe because I'm black, the parents were definitely different. I think some of the parents' reactions to who I was made me realize that as well. That kind of hurt my feelings, kind of, just a little bit.
I can only imagine.
I had a parent pull their kid out of my class, and with no, I don't know why. She pulled him out of my class and put him in the class next door to mine, same grade, and everything. And so the principal couldn't really give me and a reason why that student was pulled out of my class, but I do believe it was because of that. Also, when the parents would come to pick up their students after school, me starting off being a new teacher, I'm so excited. I really feel like it's so important to have a parent-teacher relationship, to really communicate with the parents. Although I don't speak Khmer, and some of the parents, majority of the parents they didn't speak English. So I knew it was going to be a language barrier. I was warned about that, but I also I had a nanny, and I had someone to interpret for me who spoke English and Khmer. So, but the parents would not speak to me at all when they came and got their student. They would act like I just absolutely did not exist. Like, I just didn't understand that. I didn't understand that. So most of the news that I got about any of my students or anything like that came from my TA, my assistant, telling me, the person who's translating for me, she would tell me what's going on. And come to find out, some of the parents actually spoke English and just didn't speak to me. When I was at one of the parent-teacher conferences, I learned that the parent actually did speak English, one of them, and she just didn't. And I didn't understand, well, how come this whole time you didn't speak to me? I thought she spoke strictly Khmer, and her English was actually pretty good. So, I don't know, I just kind of side-eyed that. And that same parent, she threatened to have her son removed out of my class several times, and I didn't do anything. The whole time the principal reassured me that, oh no, you're doing great. Like, I got positive feedback from other teachers and the principal, so I did everything within my power to be the best teacher that I could be for my students and the parents, and that still sometimes can't be enough. So yeah, I definitely feel like it was a racial, thing. Um, I realized colorism is a real thing in Asia as well.
Amen.
Even when, when you go to the stores, that was a shock. So for anyone who is Black,
Preach,
just
Kia.
across the board. So you don't, when you go to the stores, you'll see it on all like the lotion products, the skin products, whitening creams, and all that kind of stuff. Because being lighter is considered, what would that be considered? Is like a class kind of thing, Tatiana? That's kind of new to me, kind of. I know colorism is definitely a thing within states, but it's different.
Yeah,
there.
it's tied into classism in a sense. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost like white is right, like period, and
Yeah.
you're
So
at a
that's the
higher.
outlook. Yeah, and I believe that's the outlook. A lot of I'm not trying to generalize again, all of Asia or Cambodia or even Phnom Penh, but they have that outlook. And someone who's Khmer actually told me that personally. One of my Khmer teachers, she was teaching me Khmer because I was trying to learn some of the language before I left. But we would always have like in-depth conversations. Like she would tell me about her life, and I love talking to her. But basically, she told me that she was so tired of working like hard, but she felt like it would pay off in the long run. And she said, she's considered darker, and darker, especially women. The men, that's a different thing, but the women, the lighter you are, the more beautiful you are, and in turn, you can have better jobs. She said if she lightened her skin, then she could have like a secretary job, or something where she's in air conditioning and something more comfortable. But her job was, she wakes up 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, cooks for her family, gets on a tuk-tuk, and she goes to everybody's house or meet up with them somewhere to teach them Khmer. And she's not done until nighttime. So she's gone from 6, 7 o'clock in the morning all day, ripping and running. And Cambodia's hot, and if she's on her little motorbike, there's no air conditioning. Like, she's just hot and she's tired, and she's been doing this for years. And she knows, like, if she was lighter skinned, then she could get something better. But she said she loves herself for who she is and her skin. So yeah, she was fine with it, and I really related to her on that level, because she said she was fine with her skin being brown. And it's so crazy to me, because it's so sad that if anyone would think like that who is from there, because I think their skin is so beautiful, like the brown kissed skin, like, it's beautiful. Their skin is so pretty, so I wouldn't understand why would you want to be lighter. So
Yeah, to piggyback on that, Kia, like I even have a few Khmer girlfriends here, and that's another thing. Like we'll go to the pool, and they'll be like, "Yeah, like no, too much sun, like not too much sun, you know." But they love telling me how like beautiful my skin is. Like they always tell me, and how just like rich it is, and but a lot of people are very much affected and influenced by the way of things in this country in regards to
yeah,
colorism. And it's beautiful to, like your story with your TA who, who works super hard. And that's another thing with the Khmer people. They are so resilient and they are so hardworking. And I also think that's why I've gravitated so much towards this country and its people, just knowing their history. It is very similar to, I don't want to say very similar, but we share some similarities as
yeah,
African Americans and as Khmer people, especially
yeah.
because colorism.
Piggybacking, another piggyback. Did you read the book that I gave you? What's it called? First They Killed My Father.
I've never read it, but I've actually watched the movie. It's really great. I
Okay.
watched it before I moved
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Okay. I think
Cambodia.
you did. Yeah, you did mention that you watched it, but I read the book, and I remember crying in like one of the scenes, and I'm like, oh my God. I thought reading it would be better, because I wouldn't, I don't know, not be as emotionally attached. Like, seeing something on screen is different. I don't want to see anyone getting killed, but reading it, it was still just as bad. Like, it was terrible. So it I think that's why I also I gravitate and I have a soft spot for Cambodia as well. Yeah, it's the first place I really visited overseas, but yeah, they've been through a lot and it's relatable.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was saying. I love, well, we do share a lot of similarities. So I understand the struggle and I see how hard Khmer people do work. And it is unfortunate that colorism is such a thing, but everything that you were stating as far as just like the experiences that you've gone through because of being a black woman, I have already experienced. I mean, I haven't started teaching in a school yet. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that's going to happen very
Yeah.
soon. Um, but I've still been discriminated towards during hiring processes. I haven't even, there's been experiences where like I didn't get an interview and they blatantly kind of told me that, basically indirectly, but directly told me like it's because you're black. And that sucks. And there's been a few just other experiences and also being sexualized, I feel like, as a black woman, which happens everywhere, but definitely
Oh,
happens
Tatiana.
here.
Yes, that is so, yeah. Sexualized. That's how, okay, so remember earlier I was talking about the stairs as well. So sometimes in the back of my mind, I used to wonder, is it because am I being sexualized? You know, is it that kind of a thing too? Um, especially with men staring. I mean, now I am a woman and a man is going to stare, but it would just seem extra. I don't know how to explain it.
No, and that's the
Um,
thing. We know what it is. Like it may be hard to put into words, but you know the deal. Just like you know when you're being discriminated towards. Like it's you know what it is. You know what it is.
yeah,
You know.
yeah,
Um
yeah. It's weird. Like I remember when I bumped into this Australian guy, and he was just like overly he, I don't want to use infatuated, but he just seemed like too yeah, he wanted to know where I was from and this and that. And I'm like, okay, okay. But he told me he never seen a black woman before, which I thought he's lying. Like I talked to someone else, and another Australian man, and he said that guy is lying. There, I've never been to Australia, but he said that back home where there, it's actually kind of diverse. There are people from different places all over the world that live there as well. So I just found that incident weird. And then walking down, what is it, 172? You know,
yeah. Yeah, the
that's
girl,
that's kind of
the lady
weird.
bar or
I
girl
don't.
bars.
Yeah, I personally don't like walk. I didn't like walking down the street alone, um, at night. At night, like if it's at night, I would like to be with someone walking down that street. It's just weird, like people staring, men staring, and yeah.
Interesting stuff, that's for sure. But for the most part, again, still worth living abroad. But I mean, the stories and the experiences that we have even abroad are just so unique and almost you're sometimes you hear our stories and it's like, are you serious? But yes, these things are still happening here in 2020. And that just shows you how big the how much of a worldwide issue racial injustice is, especially back home in the States with Black Lives Matter. And I wanted to ask you, Kia, um, pertaining to racial injustice, right? How are you staying present in this movement?
I feel honestly, it's so much going on. The being here in the U.S. versus being out there in Cambodia, it's two different feelings. It's it just you can feel it, Um, so I'm trying to practice self preservation as well because every day you turn on the TV, I look on my phone. It's always something going on, I can't avoid it. Even when I step outside, there's billboards. I walked downtown when I first got here, And I thought, it's just a sunny, nice day, and I see all of the stuff left over from the protests. You start seeing things spray painted, and I sent you a couple of those pictures, Tatiana, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh wow, so this is real, this is real. And I started to realize most of the buildings downtown are closed. A lot of the businesses, and they're closed or boarded up. And my brother, who stays downtown, like in the heart of everything by the Capitol, said, yeah, a lot of those businesses are closed. You know, I'm not sure. It's probably a combination of COVID and the riots or the protests that happened. But a lot of the businesses downtown are mainly small businesses as well. So it could be just a combination of both. But I'm trying to figure out a way where I can add on something positive to this movement. It's so much negative going on, and I don't want to focus on being mad. I can't do that. So I'm trying to maintain my sanity throughout all of this. We all have stuff going on, and focus on how I can contribute. Not exactly sure as of right now what that would be, but I'm trying to figure it out. But right now, just self preservation.
Which is honestly I feel like one of the greatest ways to be present, you
And
know?
I was gonna say, adding on to that, I realize, what good am I gonna contribute to something else if I don't work on myself. I can't pour from an empty cup. So just working on myself and really trying to get in the right headspace. I just got out here, and I feel like for me, it starts with my family and my people who are really close to me. I've been trying to be more positive, more encouraging, little things like that, breaking generational curses, like all of that. It starts within. Like, I've had talks within my family where we talked about that. Like, what can we do so the next generation after us within our close knit, people will be okay. And I feel like that just is a domino effect, and everyone will take note. They'll see that it's possible. So you can't change the world, like, I can't do everything, but I can at least focus on the people around me to make a difference.
Words of wisdom, Kia. Like, beautiful. Well said. Well said.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know that that's what I've been doing too. Like, it comes down to yourself and doing your best to work with your tribe, your community, your family. So I'm in the same
Yeah.
boat, and I'm really happy to know that you are doing your best and you're doing your best to nurture yourself, and you're also doing your best within your community, within your family.
Yeah. Yes.
I also wanted to ask you, Kia, as a Black woman, how do you practice self care during these times? And what keeps you at peace and able to continue to move forward on a daily?
Yes. So I've had to get a little creative with self care. I know self care it can be a lot of things. For me, I like being in nature. I liked going places, and I know I can't do that. But one of the forms right now that I'm doing is just self preservation. I think is so important right now because, like I said, we're going through a lot, not only with our own internal lives, but we're being affected by things that are going on outside of our control as well. So we have to deal with that too. And just really trying to get my mind right and just feeling more grounded and in a right space.
Self preservation has really been the a focal, like a priority, at least this year for me. And like you said, there's so many ways that we can give ourselves, self care. I think right now, too, rest has been a big, big priority for me. And rest can even look like just like taking a break off of social, taking some time away from my laptop, going and taking a walk, going and appreciating the fact that the sun is out and there's kids playing on the street and that I can walk outside. Like, I've really just been trying to bring it back to basics. Like, it almost feels like it almost feels nostalgic. I'm tapping into my childlike self and what it was like for me to grow up,
Yes, yes,
and
Tatiana.
with my family. So
Yeah, I realize how important it is to tapping into our inner childhood. Just adding on to that, um, actually, kind of before I left, I realized a lot of things about myself. Like when everything kind of shut down in Cambodia, and we were kind of forced to stay home more. I started to realize more and more things about myself, and also tapping into our inner childhood.
yeah, it's been really beautiful, honestly, and I will say a pro of this whole year, with everything happening, is that it has given me the time to self-reflect and to really tap into the things that bring me joy, or to things that I've only dreamt of, or journal written, or just like wrote in my journal about, and actually doing those things. And that's self-preservation for me. That's me still celebrating the fact that there is joy in life, and those things are important too. There's so many distractions, and there's so much energy and things being fed to us, and I'm just trying to do my best and find a balance within everything, and find light in the midst of what can sometimes feel like darkness. So I feel you on self-preservation, and just self-care in general. To wrap our beautiful, beautiful conversation, I wanted to ask you, Kia, what makes you an ambitious Black girl?
Very good question. I feel like what makes me an ambitious Black girl is the fact that if I see something, or if I feel like I really want to do something that I want to go afterwards, I really go for it. And I believe in myself, and I get it done. Like with me coming out to Cambodia, I feel like that was an ambitious move. Although I did leave, I came back to the States. It took a lot of courage for me to even go out there, and of course, some level of ambition. Um, in short, yeah, I feel like that's what makes me an ambitious Black girl. You go for what you want and you achieve it.
Kia, you are your ancestors' wildest dreams. I
Thank you.
am so proud of you. Honestly, like, I have the biggest
Yes.
smile on my face, and that's what I
Yes.
want to hear, Kia. Like, I'm proud of you for living in your truth, for putting your fears aside, or even if you do have fears, like, just powering through it all, like,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is what life and living is about. And
Yeah.
we have to be mindful that we are a part of a very, very vast and grandiose vision and legacy and puzzle, so to speak. And you just sharing your truth, living your truth, giving that energy, putting it into the universe, you're giving humanity, you're giving your lineage just so much. So
Tatiana, thank you so much for saying that, because like sometimes I feel like you can feel small or alone, like you don't contribute much into the world, but that actually, yeah. So thank you.
you're welcome. I want you to know that. And I just want you to know that I love and I appreciate you, Kia. And I'm very, very thankful for your energy. I'm thankful for your presence. I'm thankful for your love. And I'm so just happy that together we were able to sit down in conversation and just chat, have conversations, share our experiences, tell our stories. And I know that this isn't going to be the last time that you're on the podcast. And I'm just so excited for everyone to hear who you are and hear your truth, and for you to share your voice. So thank you, Kia.
Thank you so much for having me here, Tatiana. I truly I love you so much, and I appreciate you for even considering me to come on the podcast, to allowing me to speak my truth and my experience, and to hear me out and trusting in me enough. That's something I have to work on, to have the confidence to voice what I have to say. So thank you so much for giving me this platform to voice my opinions on things and my experience. Thanks.
You are most welcome, and know that we are a community, we are a sisterhood, and just as much as this is my platform, this is your platform, and there is no ambitious Black girl without all of us, so just thank you, Kia. And to everyone who's listening in, thank you so much for joining Kia and I in mindful conversation. If this episode resonated with you, and if you have any comments, questions, or feedback, feel free to leave a review. Love, support, and feedback are always appreciated, so please do. And if you are new to Ambitious Black Girl, the podcast, and enjoyed this weekly segment, feel free to subscribe to the community. Again, y'all, I just pray that everyone tuning in experiences moments of love, peace, and support and communication this upcoming week. And as always, I encourage you to keep pushing through, keep pushing forward, keep going, because the marathon continues. I love you all. And until next time, thank you so much for tuning into Ambitious Black Girl, the podcast. And yeah, bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.